Good morning, everybody. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Today is May 16th. This is 8 a.m. JPS meeting. Can I get a roll call, please?
Chair Evans.
Here.
Member Chaplin.
Here.
Member Childress.
Yes.
Member Desart. Here. Member Eckhoff. Member Guston.
Here.
Member Krajewski. Member Ozog.
Here.
Member Schwarzy. Member Tornatori. Member Yu.
Here.
And Member Zay.
Is Member Zay online?
No.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So a physical quorum of the members is physically present. I will entertain a motion to permit those members not physically present due to personal illness or disability, employment purposes, or for the business of the board, or family or other emergency to participate by video or teleconference. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, welcome, Member Zay.
Thank you.
And let's move on to public comments. We have no public comments, correct?
We do not have any.
Okay, wonderful. Let's move on to chair remarks. So good morning and thank you all for being here. Today we are joined by Judge Walsh, who will present on the DuPage Family Violence Coordinating Council. Her presentation will be at the end of the meeting to ensure that we can get through the other committee business first. One additional note, I wanted to take a moment and recognize that this is National Police Week. I'm thankful to the men and women who serve and protect our communities. DuPage County continues to be a safe community because of the efforts of our hardworking law enforcement officials. And with that, I would accept a motion to approve the May 2nd, 2023 committee meeting minutes. All right, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. And let's see, so let's move on to procurement requisitions. Can I get a motion to approve item 23-1848, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Kelly A. Graham to design and implement comprehensive job placement for unemployed probationers for the period May 29th, 2023 through May 28th, 2024 for a contract total amount not to exceed $27,000. All in favor? Okay, the motion carries. Can I get a motion to approve JPSP 005323, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Nestor Evaristo as a veteran mentor coordinator to develop a veteran peer mentor program for the period May 30th, 2023 through May 29th, 2024 for a contract total amount not to exceed $37,500. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting to ask. Are there any questions or comments? Yes, Member Yu.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just had a quick question with regard to how many people are going through the Veteran Peer Mentor Program. It actually mentioned in the packet how many people were going to do comprehensive job placement for the unemployed probationers, but it didn't have that information for the Veteran Mentor Coordinator.
Okay, can we get Mr. McKellen?
Good morning, Bob McKellen from probation. We currently have about 21 veterans in veteran court. We also have at least 7 that are currently applying for veterans court. So it's going to be between 20 and 30 in veterans court. We also have some veterans that are in drug court. I don't have that number, but there are veterans in drug court that this veterans coordinator will also work with.
You have any other questions?
Yes, so so with regard to line item 6A, where it says total amount not to exceed 27,000, it looked like there were a lot more people who were going through the program. And in this one, you're saying there's only 21 veterans and this is a higher total amount. So I'm just wondering why that is.
We anticipate this person working more hours than the employment coordinator.
Thank you, Mr. McKellen. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries. Moving on to item 6C. Can I get a motion to approve item 23-1849, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Sandra K. White as a recovery coach coordinator to work with the 2 agencies, coaches, probation, and other stakeholders to provide services to the participants in the program for the period of May 2020, May 22nd, 2023 through May 21st, 2024 for a contract total amount not to exceed $22,500. Any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor? Okay. Moving on to resolutions, can I get a motion to approve JPSR 006023, recommendation for the approval of an addendum to resolution JPSR 000223, intergovernmental agreement between the County of DuPage and the County of Kane for housing and detention services for minors to modify the insurance coverage to reflect excess coverage in the amount of $20 million with $1 million self-insurance retention. Any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Now we move on to budget transfers. Can I get a motion to approve item 23-1850, transfer of funds from account number accounts contingencies to fuel and lubricants in the amount of $5,000 to cover the expenses of gasoline for county vehicles utilized by county employees in the coroner's office. Any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor? Okay, the motion carries. Moving on to can I get a motion to approve item 23-1851, transfer of funds from new program request personnel to regular salaries in the amount of $60,000 to cover the salary of a full-time court interpreter. Any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries. Moving on to item 9, action items. Can I get a motion to approve item 23-1852, decrease and close purchase order 5534-0001 serve issued to Quicket Solutions, Inc. in the amount of $1,071,000. Any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor? Okay, the motion carries. And moving on to grants, can I get a motion to approve item 23-1853, GPN 2423, fiscal year 24 tobacco grant, Illinois Department of Human Services, U.S. Department of Health Services in the amount of $6,993. Any discussion on this? Member Guston?
Thank you, Madam Chair. A real quick question. I know at the city, there was actually going to be some funding coming out of the state for education on tobacco use, drug use, marijuana, that type of thing. And I don't think that anything's been done yet at the state level to disperse that money. Is there a way we could have the legislative committee maybe look into to see where that funding is? If that funding is going to be coming forward, what the legislature has in mind, if anything, and how we might be able to benefit from that. Thank you.
If I may, Madam Chair.
Oh, absolutely.
Great question, Member Guston. Yes, when the Cannabis Act was passed, there's some language in there in regards to the education disbursement and the money for that. I know we've been monitoring it and looking at it. We'll look into it a little bit more and see where they're at in that process. But I do know the Sheriff's Office, and Under Sheriff Moore, correct me if I'm wrong, the Sheriff's Department or office, sorry, has actually done with tobacco products. They do have education courses that some of their community resource, thank you, I was going to say, I can't remember the exact task force, and they actually go to schools and other organizations of that nature to talk about not using drugs. So
I guess this is a question for you. Do you need us to send something down to Springfield to get the ball rolling on getting funding to be able to expand? Or, I mean, that's what the money's there for, so.
Without a doubt, we're not going to turn down any money. So if you're going to assist us in getting any funds, we'll definitely take them. Absolutely.
Okay, so if we could get something legislatively, do you think? What do
we
you
can
think,
definitely
Dawn?
look into it, and I guess I'll talk to Chair Dessart after this as well.
And may I just say, what is it called? What is the grant called? Do we have a name for it?
For the specific cannabis, I don't know that they've issued any grants on it yet. I would have to
Member
look at that.
Guston said it was tobacco, cannabis, and other drugs.
The tobacco one's already existing. The cannabis one is the one that we're talking about. So it would be.
We'll
more
talk
on
after the
cannabis.
meeting. Thank you, Jason.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for the question. Okay, all in favor? Okay, the motion carries. Can I get a motion to approve 23-1854? That's State Criminal Alien
moved.
Assistance Program fiscal year 23, U.S. Department of Justice Bureau of Justice Assistance in the amount of $483,323.88. Any discussion on this one? Okay, all in favor? Okay, motion carries. And moving on, can I get a motion to approve item 23-1855? Victims of Crime Act, POI 24, Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority, U.S. Department of Justice in the amount of $80,504. Any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor? Okay, motion carries. Next, we move on to, can I get a motion to approve item 23-1856, DuPage County Adult Redeploy Illinois Programs, Illinois Justice Information Authority in the amount of $450,514.85. Any discussion on this one? Okay, all in favor? Okay, motion carries. Moving on to travel. Can I get a motion to approve item 23-1857? Authorization is requested for overnight travel for 2 emergency management specialists to attend the multi-agency resource
moved.
center training at the ILES Training Center in Urbana, Illinois. The dates of travel are May 30th, 2023 through May 31st, 2023. The training will provide an overview of the MARC goals, setup, and operations. It is important for these specialists to attend this training as they are responsible for coordinating the development of DuPage County's multi-agency resource center plan development. The cost to DuPage County for both staff members would be $509.10 for gasoline, lodging, and meals. Any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor? Okay, the motion carries. Moving on to item, can I get a motion to approve item 23-1858? Authorization is requested for 1 OHSEM communications unit leader to attend a communications unit program working group at the ILES Training Center in Urbana, Illinois. The dates of travel are June 7th, 2023 through June 8th, 2023. Lodging and meals are provided. No cost to DuPage County. Any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor? Okay, the motion carries. Last item, can I get a motion to approve 23-1859? Authorization is requested for overnight travel for Rapid Com 4 and 2 OHSEM reservists to fulfill a mutual aid request from IEMA supporting Madison County Emergency Management Agency with Public Safety Communications. The dates of travel are June 2nd, 2023 through June 4th, 2023. Madison County will provide lodging while DuPage County covers the cost of fuel and per diems for both reservists in the amount of $665. Any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor? Okay, the motion carries. Can I get a motion to place on file? This is informational. Can I get a motion to place on file item 23-1860, Public Defender's Office, April monthly statistical report? Any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor? Okay, the motion carries. Next, we are moving on to the presentation. I'm excited for this. So this is a presentation from on the DuPage Family Violence Coordinating Council. We are lucky to be joined by Judge Anne-Celine Walsh, who is a presiding judge of the Specialty and Juvenile Courts Division and chairperson of the DuPage Family Violence Coordinating Council for the 18th Judicial Court. I'm going to give you a little intro too. Judge Walsh was unanimously appointed as a circuit judge by the Illinois Supreme Court in 2019. Prior to being made a circuit court judge, she was an associate judge where she heard cases in traffic court, domestic violence court, and served as the supervising judge of arbitration in the law division. Additionally, she was named the presiding judge of the traffic and misdemeanor division and adjudicated over driving the influence cases. Over driving. Oh, I think that's,
DUI.
Yeah, DUI cases. Judge Walsh began her legal career as an assistant state's attorney in DuPage County, where she was a supervisor of the sex crimes, domestic violence, and child abuse unit. While at the state's attorney's office, she successfully prosecuted hundreds of cases, including murder, domestic abuse, and violent offenses. We are thankful for your honor to discuss this very important counsel with the JPS committee. And with that, I turn it over to you.
I appreciate that, Chairwoman Evans, and and thank you for the invitation. And all the members that are here on the JPS committee, we appreciate all the work that you do for the courts. Because I'm involved in a lot of the other decisions that come to you. So we do appreciate all the work that you do on behalf of the courts. I want to introduce you to Diana Hightower. She is our family violence coordinator. And between the two of us, I thought we kind of break it up and we'd share a little bit about background of Family Violence Coordinating Council and a little bit about some of the initiatives that we've taken on this year, which we're very, very proud of. The Family Violence Coordinating Council, I've been the chairperson for it for the last, I've just figured out I'm in my 5th year, which is exciting. It had it's a grant-based program through ICEJA, through the state, and it had kind of a period of time because it wasn't the funding for it federally. So the courts, we didn't have it here in DuPage for a few years. And prior to that, Judge Anderson was the chairperson for it, but I've been very proud to be a part of the Family Violence Coordinating Council. And I'm going to turn it over to Diana so she can explain exactly what we do. And then I'm going to go into a little bit about this new initiative on the QR code that we're doing here in DuPage County. So I'm going to turn it over.
Thank you. Good morning. As Judge Walsh stated, my name is Diana Hightower. I am the local council coordinator for the 18th Judicial Circuit Court Family Violence Coordinating Council. Family Violence Coordinating Councils at both the state and local circuit levels provide a forum to improve the institutional, professional, and community response to family violence, including child abuse, domestic abuse, and elder abuse. Councils provide professional education and prevention, coordinate interventions and services for victims and perpetrators, and contribute to both the improvement of the legal system and the administration of justice. The 18th Judicial Circuit Court Family Violence Coordinating Council is funded by a grant through the Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority, also known as ICEJA, and is chaired by Judge Walsh. The Family Violence Coordinating Council is a collaboration of the courts, law enforcement, advocacy groups, and other organizations which seek to improve the system's response to domestic violence. There are 4 major committees, which include the Steering Committee, Courts and Law Enforcement Committee, Community Intervention and Education Committee, and the QR Code Committee. The Steering Committee provides the support and guidance to the subcommittees to ensure that we are achieving our goals and objectives of the grant. We have 17 participating organizations on the steering committee with over 20 members. And the organizations that are participating are there on the screen: the 18th Judicial Circuit Court, the State's Attorney's Office, Woodrow Police Department, Center for Advancing Domestic Peace, Elmhurst University, the Probation Department, Northeast DuPage Family News Services, the Sheriff's Department, Family Shelter Services, the Public Defender's Office, NAMI DuPage, YWCA, the Health Department, Adult Protective Services, Family Center, DUCOM, and Document the Abuse. The Courts and Law Enforcement Committee's objective is to improve the knowledge of criminal justice and family violence professionals on domestic violence related topics by providing 3 professional training courses throughout the grant year. Over this grant course, we have trained on a coordinated response to domestic violence, probation, partner abuse intervention, and victim services, which was done in the fall. Earlier this year, we did dynamics of domestic violence and document the abuse. And then we have an upcoming training on June 15th, building resilient families, understanding and treating adolescent aggressive behaviors. And thus far, we have educated over 180 professionals. The Community Intervention and Education Committee's objective is to increase the awareness and knowledge of family violence issues in the community by coordinating with local criminal justice professionals and community agencies on 2 community awareness events throughout the grant year. In the fall, we had an awareness event titled Building Resilient Families, Responding to Aggressive Behavior Toward Parents and Grandparents. And in April, we had our Shattering the Silence in Schools, Healthy Relationships and Consent for Teens. And now I will turn it over to Judge Walsh to discuss the QR Code Committee.
So I think, as you can see, just by all the partners that are involved in the Family Violence Coordinating Council, the list that we went through, and I think it was really important to show all of you that the whole purpose of the Family Violence Coordinating Council is really to collaborate with all the agencies in order to improve our response, or the system's response to domestic violence. And we take that very seriously here in DuPage County. We have been told, because we're evaluated by the state every year, I am really proud to say that we are looked upon as somewhat of the gold standard, or they follow our lead oftentimes with some of our self initiatives, which I'm going to share with you a big one that we have launched this year. It's been in the works for about 1.5 years, or it started in the midst of course, kind of the end of our COVID period. But we do ad hoc committees as well, on top of what we're required to do by the grant. I'm really proud to say that all these agencies and these folks, because it's kind of like work after work, right? That they're willing to participate and improve and figure out new ways in which we can help victims of domestic violence. And this QR code this particular year that we just launched is one of those huge initiatives. And I really think it's going to be something that's going to put not just DuPage on the map. This is an initiative that I really hope that grows, not just within the state, but throughout the country. The goal of this, well, really quick about the inception of the QR code committee. We were at just one of our steering committee meetings, and an EMT by the name of John Caldwell had expressed how victims that he encounters in the course of his work in response to sometimes domestic violence scenes when they're called out, that they had this sort of QR code that provided a few different organizations of how to maybe obtain some help. And from that moment that he made that statement in this larger meeting, it was like the red light, the bell that went off. And I'm like, why aren't we doing this? There's QR codes for everything. I think that obviously this has become the technology of the future. It's everywhere you go. It's in every public, private sector, the universities, how everyone's signing up for everything these days, obtaining tickets, entrance to all kinds of public and private events, how people even apply for a job these days. It's truly amazing where this technology has gone. So it was just the light bulb that went off. So what we did is we formed a QR code committee to explore the possibility of putting together a QR code that would help victims of domestic violence. And by quick way of background, so you have kind of an understanding of how victims of domestic violence obtain information about victims' rights, about how to obtain help if it's a non-arrest or arrest situation. Typically what had been done, and this was during the time that since I was in the state's attorney's office, due to the victims' rights and what we wanted to share with victims, police officers throughout the county of DuPage were required to provide, every time that they would go to an arrest or non-arrest scene, information with regard to victims' rights. And we called it a victim tear sheet, which included a lot of organizations, information from the state's attorney's office. How do I find out if this potential abuser is going to be released from jail in the sense that that person was actually arrested, or how do I obtain an order of protection? All of that information was on these different random sheets that are given to victims. And this is what is done today. The idea of the QR code is to eventually replace those, what we call victim tear sheets, at the arrest or non-arrest scenes when police are involved. But the QR code is twofold. There is that purpose to provide victims directly through law enforcement the information, but also to provide the general public information using what we're calling the public QR code. They're essentially the same QR code, but you're going to learn about the nuance about how the QR code for victims is a little bit hidden. So if the perpetrator actually were to look on their phone, because this is what happens, oftentimes those papers and things could be the trigger for the next abuse. So what we've done is, and like I said, this is all about our team, came up with a great idea of kind of disguising the QR code and what we call meditate for stress relief. So you're going to see what this is. I'm going to go ahead and move it forward. And the other thing I would say, as this slide indicates, is that we did in partnership with the state's attorney's office. This has truly been a partnership with law enforcement and getting this done, because it's up to law enforcement to want to initiate this and make sure that the program goes through. And that is through Bob Berlin in the state's attorney's office. He's a big advocate for this, and now it's becoming mandatory for all law enforcement agencies, and they're in the training stage right now. But we held a press conference on March 22nd of 2023, which was extraordinarily successful. I've gotten lots of phenomenal feedback, and also even other courts, judges calling me, wanting to know more information about it and the like. So it's been very exciting. Okay, so the QR code training right now, that's what is going on. There's a training video that all the law enforcement agencies that we have prepared through the Family Violence Coordinating Council with the help of our phenomenal health department. I can't say enough about the DuPage County Health Department, and with their expertise, with their staff and their publications department, they put together a phenomenal video. And this is not the first time that they've done this for us. I think I can play the video. Do I play it right here or the next slide? Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Okay. Can you? It's a snippet of the video. If we can't do it, it's fine, but all right. But the whole purpose of the training video is now we're in the phase after the launch. Now we're in the phase where law enforcement, all the departments, the 40+ police departments in DuPage County, including the sheriff's office, they're all being trained through their patrol and supervisors. They're all
The QR code created by the Family Violence Coordinating Council and the State's Attorney's Office will provide victims with critical information and available resources, but will do so in a manner that protects their safety and security. First, you should have received a QR code on a business card which reads, "Meditate for stress relief." These business cards should be in your patrol cars and on your person when you are on duty. Unless a victim prefers the paper documents, you should use the new QR code, which will either supplement or replace the domestic violence paper notice you currently give victims. On scene, give the victim the business card with the QR code. Explain that there are resources contained in the code to help them. Show the victim how to scan and access the QR code on their phone. The QR code will bring victims to the Meditate for Stress Relief dummy page, and you must instruct them to choose Sign Up for Classes to access the victim information. The dummy page is designed to protect the victim if the perpetrator views or takes a victim's phone with the QR code stored on it. Suggest that the victim take a picture of the business card to save the website information on the victim's phone to access later. This will ensure that the victim does not lose the QR code or will know how to get to the information later. This QR code contains direct links to many valuable resources. It will only take a few minutes, and it could save their lives.
Right, thank you. So
The
that's
QR
kind of a demonstration of what it looks like on scene. And I will have to say that, as you can see, the purpose of the QR code isn't just about the ease of not having the paperwork. First of all, it's going to hopefully protect more victims in the future based on the way it is presented. This is the card if they choose to take a card, and it says Meditate for Stress Relief. And actually, the website is what's on here. If they just put in www.meditateforstressrelief.com, okay, that brings them to that dummy page. When they hit sign on for classes, bam, it goes right into our county website, into the Family Violence Coordinating Council page. On that page, it has, and they were scrolling down through it. Through the help of all the agencies, we've consolidated a lot of information and links to a lot of different agencies. All the ones that were listed, victim advocate groups. We put the most pressing issues like shelter, orders of protection, and information on the state's attorney's office, also the YWCA, in case we're talking about sexual assault. All of that is right on, is within the first, kind of click on that first page. And then as you scroll down, there's other information about teenage crisis, through U360 and through Wheaton oh my gosh, well, Nephthys is up in the Northeast, but Wheaton Youth Outreach. So I mean, all these other organizations, and what's wonderful about it is that it's evolving. We're constantly offering information to our IT. We want to switch this around. And so from a technological standpoint, it's fantastic because we're providing even more resources. And when folks, there was a hotline, I'm on a statewide committee, and a hotline that we've added on there, which is fantastic. So anytime we receive information, we're updating that for victims. So we're learning as we're going and trying to make it the best possible resource for victims of domestic violence in DuPage County. And from there, I'm hoping that this takes off, and I think it will take hold in a lot of the other counties and jurisdictions throughout the state. I was kind of surprised that this didn't seem to be sort of something that's been on the national stage yet. I don't think it has. It has to kind of happen locally, but then you can provide state resources because the response has to be local too. Where can I find shelter within DuPage County or near to my home, as opposed to, well, there's a lot of other larger organizations, but you might not be able to get that specific information that's local. So just as a final, my final remarks with regard to how invaluable I really believe the QR code will be, and I can't get over the partnerships with all of the different groups, is that not only was I mentioning Health Department, State Attorney's Office, and all the agencies, but our whole goal with the public QR code, and we're now working on the next phase, which is a PR campaign for the public QR code, which doesn't take you to meditate for stress relief. It goes right into the county, into our page on the county website. And that's what would be the public QR code. That particular QR code, I hope all of you are going to see everywhere. It is already on discharge papers at Edward Hospital. We're partnering with Edward Elmer's Hospital for when someone presents with a potential complaint that maybe injuries or that kind of thing had come from an abusive situation. This public QR code right now, we're working on a campaign that'll be hopefully on posters. We try to budget for that, but also the same kind of thing where you see where human trafficking or for family shelter services and bathrooms at libraries, public universities, public buildings, any type of organizations. And like I said, hospitals, immediate care type facilities, all these places. This is what we're hoping that the QR code, the public QR code, will become a resource. It's already on the family shelter information. So anytime a victim of that goes through family shelter services to obtain help with orders of protection, or if they actually go to their facility, their paperwork and everything they receive, they're already receiving the QR code. So we're really proud of this initiative. I really hope that you will also spread the word on it. And if you have any type of agency contacts, that's one of the things we're going to be doing this PR campaign of folks that you all know and that you're tied in with. Please reach out to me. Let me know. That is the whole goal of this. We have a really nice committee, but we want it to really spread. The more it spreads, the more it will help victims of domestic violence. And hopefully, like I said, I think we're achieving our goal at better responding to victims of domestic violence here in DuPage County. So we appreciate your time. Questions?
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Judge Walsh. That was an excellent presentation. Two questions. One, I was thinking that, are you getting the private QR code or the victim QR code to the shelters directly? Are they having access at the shelters? The victims get that? And second, I was thinking agency contacts, maybe churches around the
especially because a lot of them have pads and that's the whole, I mean, we really want it. Please send me and email me any information with contacts. I mean, I think it could definitely in churches if they're willing to do that, especially I know that there are a number of churches like my church, they hold pads and things like that. But regardless, I mean, we want it to be anywhere that any organization, public or private, that's willing to put out the poster, the flyer or information on it. Especially, we're going to be coming into the month of October, which will be Domestic Violence Awareness Month. A lot of those types of places like to, they'll advertise for that. Did you have a question, Representative Gusty?
I actually did. So we had quite a few people that were panhandling on corners that were in need. And so we actually developed a postcard which had like loaves and fishes and Hesed House and
Nice.
all of that information. So when you saw someone on the street, you could say, this can help you, right?
Right.
But I believe having that QR code on it, and also I do have a list of places that you can
Right.
work with.
Perfect.
That QR code I think would be very beneficial, not knowing their private situation or anything,
Sure.
but just knowing that they're on the street for a reason and you don't know what that reason is. So I commend you for doing this.
No,
This is
very-
phenomenal.
Yeah, this is an exciting initiative.
And I
Thank
think
you.
the QR code idea is spot on because people just use it all the time. We thought it was going to go away, but I don't think it is.
No, this is, I think what we've realized is kind of solidified. Really quick as a follow-up to that, I didn't also put out there is that it's going to be available in Spanish, and we're hoping other languages. So on the website, it's going to have, if you speak Espanol, they'll click on it. That's part of our phase now that we're working on. I wanted to let everyone know, so it's going to be accessible. The other thing is we really want to get that public QR code to family members, friends. They might question, whether or not someone is in a situation they don't even know about, or if they want to try to give them kind of discreet help, or information about help that's not, that they can kind of hide on their phones. Yes.
Thank you.
member
Great
was on.
presentation. Speaking about family members, perhaps talking to the Regional Board of Education and getting it into the schools.
Absolutely.
Through-
I was
either through counselors or beginning of the year information, that kind of
totally agree. I was
thing. Be very
actually
useful.
at an event for NEFTIS last week, and Amber Quick, who is going to be taking over. I was actually telling her about this as well. So we're definitely, no. But I want, if everyone would just email me, my email is very easy to get. I'd love that kind of just ongoing list, and then we'll start to develop it. I'll work with Diana in our group to make sure that it's kind of overwhelming in one sense, because there's a lot of agencies and organizations that I think that would benefit from, or would want to be maybe a part of this. So any kind of information as a reminder to me, and there might even be, she did point me in the direction of someone on that's on the staff now with Darlene. I don't know who that is, but to make sure I'm in contact with them too.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Judge Walsh. Great idea. For the last couple of years, every time I have a doctor's appointment, they always ask me if I feel safe in my home. So just pointing you towards Northwestern's, I think everybody should get this as part of their discharge paper.
Right.
So thank you for this great idea.
Yeah, and I'll share that with our folks that we're kind of using Edward and Elmer's as a pilot, because we have someone on our steering committee and she's gotten the approval to do this and they think it's a great idea. So once we sort of, they see that it is something that has been seamless through their own, because they put it through their own system, because they've coded that kind of thing now. And then I'm hoping that will gain traction, and then we can sell it to the other, share it with the other hospital networks to see if they'll be willing to jump on it too. Oh.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you so much for the QR code program. So my question, I know that a lot of it has to do with the orders of protection. There's information with regard to contacting the state's attorney's office, but I didn't note, I can't remember if it also included information with regard to civil orders of protection or help with divorce or custody issues, just because many domestic violence survivors don't want to go the criminal route. They'd rather go the civil way.
Right.
So I'm just wondering if there are also referrals to legal aid agencies or other
It's all there.
okay,
Take a look. It's awesome that you asked that, because we tried to think of all of those things, but civil orders of protection, absolutely, because that's what family shelter does too. It's oftentimes a non-arrest situation when folks will come in, and whether or not they're actually assisted by family shelter or they obtain the order of protection on their own, because you can go to this will take you right to that website. Whether or not they work in conjunction with family shelter or not to obtain that order of protection, all that information is on there as well, including legal aid services. And kind of, I do feel you're in a situation where you're unsafe. And a lot of times it's great because our thought process is that you can keep this information and use it when you can use it. We also have another phenomenal organization called Document the Abuse. And this was presented to a number of attorneys. It was part of one of our trainings. So attorneys attended this training. A lot of them were family law attorneys. Because this particular organization, who is run by Norma Peterson, who is the sister-in-law of Drew Peterson, who is now serving his sentence for the murder of one of his wife. But then the reason why the sister-in-law put this together, it's basically a safe place to diary what is happening to you, that goes into their network and you just need their password. It's never traced to your phone. Unfortunately, in a lot of situations where there is an abuse situation, there's a lot of power. What's the power and control? I'm telling you about the power and control wheel, but power and control, and you're talking about abusers accessing and the perpetrators accessing the phones and obsessive about that. So it's a safe place for them to document abuse. And if they get an evidentiary affidavit, it could be potentially useful in court. So oftentimes those things will go on for quite some period of time because a victim might be in a cycle, whether or not they're pursuing potential divorce proceedings or whether or not, I mean, this is all about intimate partner abuse. I mean, this runs, and also there's information for teenage. We've had a lot of training this year on teenage to parent, or not in parent, guardian. You know, how are we dealing with all of the different type of, we put it under the umbrella of domestic abuse, but certainly it knows, you know, it doesn't have any type of stereotype in terms of gender, the type of folks that, you know, and what's going on. Teenage to teenage. That's why we had the great program at Naperville North a few weeks ago. Phenomenal speaker on dating violence and things that happen between that. So we're trying to gain all that. If you take a look and you think that there should be other information, that's my point. This is fluid. Please reach out to us and we'll address it. But I think that we do cover some of the areas that you're asking about. Anything?
And I also want to point out Judge Walsh has a 9 o'clock call, so.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
And this is much more, you know, when you feel like this is one of those things that, like I said, it's the job after the job, you know, it's really exciting. I think that we're really enjoying the kind of work. This is an extension of the work that I really enjoy doing. You know, as a former prosecutor and head of sex crimes, domestic violence, child abuse, this is sort of a way for me to still use all those skill sets and advocacy a little bit in a way that allows me to do that with the courts, and knowing that I am, my position is as a judge. And I mean, once I put on that robe in the courtroom, it's a little bit different, but this is a phenomenal way of doing that.
Judge, will this also then be something appropriate for child abuse? Because the Exchange Club does something called the Rib Fest and all of their funds went to organization with respect to child abuse. Is that something that would be helpful for your group?
Absolutely. In fact, one of our large training topics this year is going to be more in the teenage realm, but I believe that next year we've decided that if for our next grant year, because we've already submitted our grant, that we're planning on having our huge training on child abuse. So this all follows under that same umbrella.
Just
yes.
one more question.
Yeah, one more quick question. Great presentation. Where can we get the cards, or where can we get the QR code?
So you can get, it's on the website, on the Family Violence Coordinating Council website. The public QR code, we can go back to that. And you can distribute, I can send over the public QR code.
All right.
We're trying to limit the exposure of the private one that has the meditate for stress relief, but basically that dummy page brings you right into the public QR code. I will get the public QR code to you, and then you can distribute it, and that can be distributed. The thing is that if you're going to share with any organizations, we want to know about it. So it's not something that just goes out there. We are keeping the data on all of that. We're trying to track where this is going and who wants to use it on their, we just don't want it to end up in the wrong hands. Also, we want to be able to know who's using the QR code, who's putting it on their own materials, like Family Shelter, so that we can track it and we have the data for it. You're okay? Okay, great. Yes, I will do kind of a follow-up if that works. Okay,
Yeah.
Lovely talking to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I can tell your office gets it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that was a wonderful presentation. Let's move on to old business. Any old business? Okay, any new business? All right, hearing none. Let's adjourn.